Good evening, everyone. As you can hear, this show will be a bit different because we are going to speak in English, not in Serbian. And that's because we met tonight to talk about a project called a simulation of the US Senate, which lasted for about 3 months. The project is a product of a great cooperation between Klemson University and a faculty of political sciences at Belgrade University. And together with 50 of our colleagues and wonderful professors, Džefrija Pika and Dragana Živojinovića, we learn a lot about how the Senate works and then use that to virtually be lawmakers, debaters, defenders, and voters for our ideas. And I'm very happy to have this opportunity to talk with my dear colleagues and esteemed senators Mina Trajković and Karter Tapan. So, hi guys. We will start with introducing yourselves. Can you tell us something about yourselves? Mina, will you go first?
Thank you so much. It's lovely to have you both here. My name is Mina. I am 20 years old. I am studying international relations at the Faculty of Political Sciences in Belgrade. And I joined this program, I believe in January or early February. Not really sure what to expect, but I can definitely say it's been a real pleasure. And I'm sure we'll talk about that later. So thank you so much for hearing my introduction.
Now, Karter.
Thank you, Lazar and Mina, both. It's been a pleasure to have you as colleagues, as well as friends, so thank you. My name is Karter Tapan. I'm a senior or fourth year political science student here at Klemson University. I didn't come into college with political science, but I'm really passionate about environmental issues, as well as the Balkans, because of a study abroad trip that I got to go on that we'll speak about soon. So thank you all for your time and look forward to our conversation.
Thank you both for this, let's say, just small piece of your identities and introduction for this evening. So we will first stick to this simulation we participated in. And I will ask you, both of you, what were your experiences during the simulation? How did it look to cooperate with other students from other side of the pond? Was it interesting? Was it maybe hard sometimes to understand each other? And so on. We can now go first Karter and then Mina.
So like I said a minute ago, I had the privilege last year, before the hit of COVID-19, to spend some time in Belgrade. We intended on being there for a full semester from January to May, but got called home early. So because of that, I was pretty comfortable with some of my Serbian colleagues, knew some of them, and had a little bit of Serbian to communicate with. But for me, it's been really special to continue that relationship that I started in Belgrade with the Faculty of Political Sciences and our dear professor, Gile, and the dean, of course. I've gotten to have a great relationship with both of them and look forward to being back in Belgrade soon. So the continuation of that for me through this simulation was odlično.
And Mina, what about?
It was, thank you. It was very much something I didn't think would ever happen to me. I came into this whole process not knowing what to expect. I've never participated in any kind of virtual exchange, and especially nothing during my during my years in the Faculty of Political Sciences. But I can definitely say that after this has all ended, it has been such a pleasure to work with people, especially the professors that Karter mentioned, but as well our colleagues, both from here and from Clemson. So I can say that I learned a lot, and not just about how the Senate works, definitely. So it's been a real pleasure.
And was it hard since it was virtual exchange? Do you think that it would be much more interesting if we did all of that in person? Of course, that's not possible now, but what do you think about that? Was it hard because it was online? You can choose who will speak first.
I'll say something small. I think, of course, to some extent, it is harder being removed and not being able to have face-to-face conversations. With that having been said, I think that actually created some flexibility for people in this simulation, and created maybe some different dialogue than would have normally happened because of both time differences and the time we were in class versus working outside of class. So I actually think, considering the circumstances, I think we had some of the best communication we could have had. But of course, I think I would say, yes, it would have been great to be in person and be able to exchange ideas in person. Would you agree, Mina?
Definitely. I think that there has been some challenges, especially with time differences, with time zones. Communicating sometimes meant a few days worth of sharing messages, as especially with having classes. For us, it was quite late at night, but I do have to say that it provided us with experiences that we probably wouldn't have had otherwise if it wasn't virtual. I'm really glad that we managed to organize this simulation, even though it's in the middle of pandemic. I'm glad that we had the technology, both with classes or our work outside of classes on different platforms, to communicate and learn from one another. And I'm very grateful for that.
Yeah, I think we used something like 5 or 6 different platforms between all of us to try and communicate in different ways on different things. And
I must say that it's a great thing you both mentioned the time zones. First, I want to say that Mina and I are now being in dark, which is maybe easy to see, and Karter is using natural sunlight. And when speaking about time zones, as Karter already said, he was lucky enough to grab a chance and travel to Belgrade before the pandemic. And everyone here loves to hear how some foreigner spent his time here. So Karter, what was it like in Belgrade?
First, it was amazing. I loved it. Everybody, both here in Clemson and some of my Serbian friends, sort of make fun of me because they say they're confused at how much I love Serbia. And I don't really have a great answer for that, other than I made really great relationships and really want to come back and be a part of the change and the sort of development and the exchange of ideas that we've gotten, that Clemson and the faculty have been able to facilitate for us. For reference, I live just off of Knez Mihailovo. So I got to be there a lot and rode the bus to the faculty, which was great. But we got to be really everywhere in Belgrade. Our favorite weekend spot was to go down to Skadarlia and drink at the Red Bar and everything down there, which was great. But we also got to travel. We went to Amsterdam. We went to Pristina. We went to all over Serbia. We got to go to, I forget the name, some of the caves and things, which was exciting in the north, and got to go to Vojvodina. And we did a lot of traveling while in the little time we were there. So really, I just loved being with Serbian people. I loved experiencing the different perspective. And I've been able to let's try that again. I've been able to go to 4 or 5 other countries now. So I really enjoy getting to see different cultures. And frankly, I fell in love with Serbia and can't wait to be back.
So you used well this nice position Serbia has in Europe to go wherever you want. And this will sound cringe, but what can we do? That's just something we have to ask every foreigner. What did you like the most? And did you because you mentioned Skadarlija, did you like rakia?
Yes, I love rakia. The day that we found out we were going to come home early, me and my best friend went down to Blaznavac and had a licher, or a pitcher of whatever, I don't know what you call it in Serbian, and more shots of rakia than I'd like to admit. But yes, I love rakia. I'm trying to figure out where to get it in the States, but I can't find it. I've tried to ship it. I can't find it. But me and my best friend loved trying all the beer. So we went down to Guvint, and we love Nikšiško, and what else? We loved going up to Kalemegdan and seeing all of the many exciting things up there. So yeah, we loved, honestly, just being in Belgrade and getting to walk around Belgrade and see all the many different, very different things. So yeah, I don't know if that answers your question.
It does. It really does. And
I think my favorite rakia though is rakia med, which I understand is a little contentious, but
it's fine. Believe me, believe us. And let's get back to, I would say, more serious topics. And again, time zones. Mina, if you had, I know that you will have a chance in near future. Would you like to return the visit and go to Klemson and learn something new about Americans and learn something new from them?
Definitely. I think that if I ever had the chance, that day would be on the flight to the States, for many different reasons. Just like Karter mentioned, if I got the chance to have a semester as kind of an exchange student, it would definitely benefit my academic life, of course. But more so, it's a cultural exchange, not just students exchange. And I think that, as we saw, which you, Karter, mentioned, it was mostly focused on the people and the experiences you had. And I think that would be something I would be looking for in that trip, should I say. It's not just about the learning experience, about the academics, about the faculty or the university. It's basically meeting everybody there and connecting with them. I think that's the most exciting part. And I would argue that was your probably favorite thing about Serbia, right, Karter?
Yeah, I think any chance that you get to have unique experiences with people that, well, frankly, anyone, but especially people that you have some sort of common ground with is always memorable and is always special.
Now I will try to go to even deeper topic, and it's always great to learn new things, especially when they're related to what you study. And we had that chance with this project. But speaking of American and Serbian relations, always has very deep meaning, especially here in Serbia. I know that Americans do not speak about Serbia every day, but you can find Serbs speaking every day about what America does here or anywhere in the world. And that's some kind of logical, because we had some, let's say, not so good happenings back in 1999. And my question is, does one project like this change or can change that negative, it's unfortunately negative for most Serbs, a picture of the United States here in Serbia? What do you think about that? Are we doing actually something much more important than learning about the US Senate?
I think, yes, of course. But to sort of unpack that, at least in my experience, being in Belgrade, we talked a lot and had a whole course on Serbian and American relations and the history of Serbian and American relations. And so getting to have a deeper understanding of that and then come into this course and really have a different exchange, but appreciate appreciate the Serbian perspective of Americans in America and how that's influenced was important. And I think it created, even between us three, I think it created good dialogue and good conversation surrounding hard topics, particularly, as you mentioned, 99, but also with Kosovo and Albania and other regional issues. I think we're able to be talked about in a different way, in a way that is more what's the word? I don't know, is more open and is more sort of willing to receive on both ends, because clearly there is personal connections to 99 and to regional conflict that I can't relate to. I can intellectually hear it and understand, and I've been very grateful to be in Mitrovica and talk to some students there, and be in Pristina and talk to students, and so I hear it and I am trying to understand it, but I don't, because to some extent there is familial relation as well as just geographical relation that I can't relate to. But on the flip side, I also have a different perspective coming in. And so I think it's created, I think the exchange has created conversations that would not normally be able to be had, and create conversations that I think are really helpful in terms of how young people in particular see the world and see global geopolitics, and how they interact with each other. I feel like I'm getting on a little bit of a tangent, but I think all of those things sort of tie together. And I think they're really important in being able to share information and share experience to create a productive and a better outcome. And as Lazar mentioned before we started recording, I think it's also really important moving forward. I think it's important to create relationship regardless of where you are. I think we all would agree that networking and creating relationships where you are is really important, not just for careers, but for relationships. And I think that's really important as across oceans and across country lines as well. Whether that be because we will have an opportunity to have a political discussion between governments later, or or just stay friends and be able to offer a bed if anybody comes to visit. But I think it's really important, and I think opening those lines of communication and information exchange, as Dr. Peak, one of our professors, mentions all the time, is that relationship building is one of the most important pieces of this exchange between faculties. So I understand that was a little long-winded, but I think creating relationship and continuing to have open lines of communication creates an environment that we can have deep conversations, but also with a respect and a trust of one another that I think is really valuable.
Thank you, Carter. And I am not, I'm not happy that I will ask you this now, because it should have maybe be, it should have maybe been asked earlier, but I'm curious to know about some situations when you were here in Belgrade. Did some people pointed finger at you and marked you as a villain just because you're American? They didn't know who you are, like personality. They just know that you're from America, and they were just, oh, you're American, we don't like you because of that. Nothing else. They don't know nothing else about you, and they just say, we don't like you.
Yes, it only happened a very few times. To me, it really only happened once, and I was speaking English, and frankly, the fact that I was speaking English was not looked upon as amazing at the time, which is fine. Really the only serious situation was one of my colleagues on the trip had an instance on the bus where she had her bus ticket, but the ticket lady essentially wouldn't accept her bus ticket and was going to make her pay like a 2,000 dinar fine. And we were all like, we all had tickets. And so it was very confusing, but it was very clear that she wanted one of us to literally pay for being different, I guess. But thankfully, most people in Serbia, including our landlords and frankly people in restaurants and at the faculty, everybody was very, very sweet to us. And frankly, as long as I initiated in some sort of Serbian and gave the effort to speak Serbian, most people were happy with that. So yeah, thankfully not often, but yes, we did get some of the outsider sentiment. Yes.
Well, I'm glad it only happened few times, but I hope that next time you visit Belgrade, it won't happen at all. And Mina, how do you value this exchange? Do you see that deeper meaning and deeper extents, if I can say it like that, of this?
I think it has a great potential to mend the differences, especially the ones that are mainly portrayed in the media, concerning the events that we talked about. But even more than that, on a daily basis, I think that it has a potential to make both sides see the other side. And I really liked what you said, Carter, about wanting to understand the opinions of people, or kind of the points of view of people, but not really being able to fully, because you probably don't have a personal relationship to the 99 event. I could relate to that as well. I'm very grateful that I don't have any personal connections. I wasn't born when the event was happening. And I can understand why some people I can understand why some people here might have kind of grudges that are not based in any kind of fact, especially saying what happened to you when people were pointing fingers. They didn't know you, but they still made probably some judgments about you. And I think this sort of exchange gives us a chance to meet one another and share our differences in cultures and really, really get to know the other side. And I think that it is a great starting point since everybody who was participating in this simulation was young. And I think that young people have a great opportunity to be the ones who will mend the differences between the two countries. And as far as USA and Serbians' relationship goes, I think that there is a bright future ahead of us because of that, especially what we do now. The people who are interested in political sciences, as well as young people in general. I think that we are the future of the relationships of our two countries. And I'm really looking forward to seeing what happens.
So we can all agree that young people will bring positive changes.
I hope so. I think young people are certainly have the best chance of creating positive change. But I do think, on a serious note, I do think young people in general want to see positive change around them, and I think that's an important optimism, particularly in the political sphere, where optimism is often lacking. But I am excited for the future and looking forward to what possibilities can come.
So my next question is connected with local. We had that obstacle, let's put it that way, pandemic, and many of us were forced to stay at home and follow this simulation from our rooms, not from our rooms in hometowns, not from Belgrade. And I followed it from my hometown, Kraljevo, and Mina followed it from Niš. So do you think that we could use projects like this and to do something on local level, not just speaking about university in Belgrade, which is quite central institution when it comes to politics, but can we make some difference speaking locally? Can we make it more connected to people who are there always, who don't go to Belgrade or something or somewhere else? Mina, will you start, because we are in the same situation?
Thank you. I definitely think that there is a great potential for possibly, I think I would love to see people from different universities joining the simulation, maybe next time around. Now that we have explored all the depths that virtual exchange could go to, I think it doesn't matter where in the world you are. I think that the point of this exchange was to meet one another and have a chance to work together, but not only that, to integrate both of our cultures into the laws that we made in our committees and individually. And I think that anyone on the globe can do that. And I didn't think that before going into this whole project, but now I am convinced that it has a great potential to bring people from different backgrounds, not just geographically, academically as well, because we could have exchange students from different faculties, not just political sciences, joining us on this project next year. And I think that going through this whole process, we have definitely learned a lot from one another, and we will continue to share that with our friends and families, as I hope you will, because I know I did. And I think that if we focus on different cities, cities that have universities in Serbia, other people will have the same opportunity to do that. And I would love to see it, definitely.
And I must say that we should include even cities without universities, because my town, Kraljevo, doesn't have a university. We have some faculties, but that's not from our university. So shall we start with hosting Karter in Kraljevo and Niš, Mina?
Yeah, Karter, you mentioned that you went to Vojvodina and that you went all over Serbia, but I didn't hear you say that you went to the south. And I think there's a great chance for you to come to Serbia because of that, if nothing else. I think that you will have a great time if you come to the south.
Don't worry, I'm looking for my soonest opportunity.
And I'm sure Lazar would love to bring you to Kraljevo.
Both of you in the same time. But let's now get back to my first question. And Karter, what do you think? How can maybe perhaps you, but not just you, your American colleagues, our American colleagues, make change in that local level in Serbia? Because we must admit that Belgrade is, let's say, a bit different than the rest of the country. It's more open to the world and to people from abroad. But when you go further in Serbia, you can just notice that it's a bit closed and more not hostile, no, but just not open enough to accept some differences, especially if that difference is not good. And you can say that being American can be got differently in Serbia. So what do you think?
I think both the exchange and, frankly, the pandemic has opened everyone's eyes to the possibilities with technology, and whether that be a virtual academic exchange or frankly just chatting with friends across the world. I think we're learning that that's more accessible than we maybe previously believed. But in terms of Serbia, I did go to the south, by the way. I just didn't spend a lot of time there, so don't worry. But no, I understand, and I understand that Belgrade Belgrade is not Serbia. It's a city in Serbia, right? It's Serbian, certainly, but it's Belgrade, and I get that. And similarly, Klemson, where I live, is not Atlanta, is not Florida, is not, and so I think that's natural. I think certainly in Serbia with increasingly older population, particularly as you start to get outside of Belgrade, I think that's very natural to happen. But I do think that we're seeing, frankly, by the day, the opportunities that technology and frankly, this time that we've been forced inside, and we've been forced to find new opportunities to connect and to communicate with one another. I think it's been really helpful, and I think it's been a great time to show what opportunities there could be. So I'm not sure how you do it. I'm not sure how logistically you set it up, but I certainly think that the opportunities, as we've seen through this exchange and through other things, are certainly there. I certainly think communication and reaching out farther than the small circles that we have been in is certainly possible. I just frankly don't know how to do it. But I'm looking forward to whoever figures out how to do it. I'm looking forward to that connection and getting to bring more people in to become more educated, if they want to be, of course, about issues like politics, or be able to have more exchange on regional conflict, or just create that conversation, which I think the opportunities are endless. But like I said, we just got to figure out how to do it.
They are. And the first thing that comes to my mind is when you do come back to Serbia and come to Niš and come to Kraljevo, we can perhaps organize some events where three of us can speak about American and Serbian relations, about Senate. Of course, you would be the main speaking about Senate. And things like that. That's something that we can do beside visiting everything that you should see in Kraljevo and Niš. And but until then, both of you have a chance to send one or maybe more messages to young people, not only in Serbia, but perhaps in the whole world, because we are speaking in lingua franca, so everyone can understand us now. What are those messages, Mina?
I would definitely say I would advise everybody, like I would like to have advised myself before going into this project with my fellow colleagues, is that you should take any chance that is given to you to learn and to meet others and connect with them, especially if you think that if you have any sort of stigmas or preset understandings of somebody's culture, because you will change your mind for the better. And that's what's interesting about these exchange programs, is that you always go through with it with one set of mind, and then you, after a couple of months, realize that you're a completely different person. And I really like that, and I would like for other young people to go through that as well.
Thank you, completely different person. And Karter, what about you?
Well, first, hvala for this conversation. I think it's been great. But I would, similar to Mina, I think I would just encourage everyone to remember that regardless of where you are in the world, the people around you are just people. We may go through different circumstances, but we all go through life, and we all experience similar things.
I cannot hear you. I don't know if it's something with me. It is.
But long story short, we all experience the same emotions. And so, as Mina said, I think it's really important to get to know someone before casting some sort of judgment. And I think it's important to meet people who think differently than you. That doesn't have to be a bad thing. I think a lot of young people these days see that as a bad thing. And frankly, I think it's a great thing. Most people around me don't think like I do. And I like it that way because it challenges me. And I think it challenges everybody around us. So thank you. Thank you.
I have to thank both of you because I think this conversation was really great and that your messages are excellent and that everyone should listen to you. And I sincerely hope that this is just a small part and maybe somewhere on the beginning, of course, besides the simulation, and that things that we can do together are only going to be more significant and more influential in the future, and of course funny and in every way when you come to Serbia and maybe we visit United States, I don't know. So thank you both for this conversation, and I'm really looking forward to cooperate with you once again in the future.